In develop men of woman intellectual, spiritual, and religious potentiality. In this example of a lay woman who is able to achieve the highest goals of Buddhahood, we may conclude that Mahayana is a better vehicle for women, particularly for lay women. In the present day, social project requires gender equality. The Buddhist teaching also attach important to equality between men and women. To be more effective in the modern world, the Buddhist tradition would do well to open the door and accept the bhikkhuni ordination instead of allow none to take only the 8 or 10 basic precepts of a Buddhist devotion. Conclusion. Extensive research on the nature and status of women in Buddhism give a picture that highlights an achievement of the Buddha, the blessed one who came to the world as a human being. Attend enlightenment, growth, the legend practice, taught the doctrine to human beings and become respected as the teacher of gods and humans due to his compassion and wisdom. An examination of the Sutra and Vinaya text of the Theravada and Mahayana tradition are resources for understanding Buddhist perspective on the nature and status of women. Among the major world religions, Buddhism is notable for the Sangha, the large and peaceful communities of monks and nuns, and for the active involvement of many kinds and affectionate nuns who act a patron of the community. The Buddha opened up new horizons for women by laying the foundation of the Bhikkhu Sangha, the social and spiritual advance he initiated were ahead of their time and have continued up to the present time, unified among world religions. Many erudite scholars have discussed this topic from different angles, and their rightful teaching have provided valuable advice for many human society moral lessons. Thus, it applied can help human beings, both women and men, to end all suffering and attain real happiness in the world. Their achievements are possible for anyone who recognizes the value of the teaching of the Buddha.
Our next presenter is one of the editors for multi-author book entitled Death and Afterlife in Japanese Buddhism, which is due in spring 2003. She will talk about Bodhisattva Kwanyin, Avalokiteshvara, or Kwanum Bosal in Korean. The title is Kwan Yin's Gender Transformation in Medieval Japan.
This paper explores the religious and historical context behind the Kuan Yin, Avalokiteshvara worship in medieval Japanese Buddhism in relation to gender transformation. It is a well-known fact that Kuan Yin is often portrayed as a woman in medieval Chinese, Korean, and Japanese Buddhist art and literature. Buddhist tradition often emphasize that women must transform their gender to male in order to achieve nirvana rather than the reverse. That's why and how Kuan Yin acquired female characteristics. That's why and how Kuan Yin acquired female characteristics is an enigma in East Asian Buddhist history. In this short paper, I would like to illustrate how the Japanese came to consider Kuan Yin as a female deity and has significant role in transforming the monastic institution of the Pure Land sect in the 12th century. Through the appearance of Kannin in the dream of the founder of Jodo Shinshu, Shinran broke the tradition of celibacy for the monks and allowed all monks of the sect to marry. The tradition of married monks continue to the present day. Moreover, this breaking of celibacy for Shinran had a sociological significance, since he believed Buddhism had a significance in universal salvation for all the people without social, moral, or even gender consideration. Kannin was introduced to Japan through China and Korea in the early phase of the transmission of Buddhism in the 7th century, and intermingled with the Shinto belief in Amaterasu, the primordial creator goddess of Japan. On a village level, Kuan Yin was identified with the Earth Mother, which is a generative source of human life and agricultural production. In the present day tradition of Kannin worship, the Kannin worship is still alive all over Japan in many aspects of Japanese spiritual life. In Kannin Ko, or the Dharma meeting, women of all generation and gender together regularly, they meet together regularly to worship Kannin and enjoy the social gathering together with vegetarian food. Women take a turn to have such a celebration in their home once a month or a couple times a year, dependent on the local customs. This is all over Japan. So men have their own Kuan Yin called horsehead Kuan Yin for their own party. Women's Kuan Yin is called Koyatsu Kannon, or Kuan Yin for easy birth and child rearing. Some local Kannon is considered to be efficacious for a good flow of breast milk, and women can actually buy a clay model of breast on a wooden board as a charm or souvenir for their visit to the Kuan Yin. Some Kuan Yin is considered to be good for finding a good partner or for divorce for those who wish to terminate their marriage. Also, women organize pilgrimage trips by themselves to visit the designated 33 Kuan Yin temples over several days and enjoy hot water spring baths and trekking with other women folks. All this act of dedication towards Kuan Yin had over 1,000 years of history and show the closeness of Kuan Yin towards the women of all levels. In early Japanese Buddhist literature, Kuan Yin, which could be male or female at that time, was attributed with merciful and impartial qualities. In the medieval Buddhist literature, such as Nihon Ryo-iki, Kuan Yin was depicted as an extremely generous and compassionate bodhisattva who takes the suffering of the common people onto herself in order to relieve their pain. A more popular aspect of Kuan Yin was described in the Hokke Gengi and Konjaku Monogatari as a deity who listens and actualizes the early desires of the people, such as wishes for having wonderful children and wealth and so on. According to Saigo, it was around the end of the Heian period, around the 12th century, when Kuan Yin acquired totally female gender. That's in Japan. One of the early examples of female identification is a ritual held in Hase Temple, Haseji, which was considered to be one of the pilgrimage places for Kuan Yin worship. The ritual involved a woven basket symbolized at the womb, and the devotees were supposed to go inside the womb as a part of the ritual. In such a way, the reproductive ability of motherhood was sanctified in Kuan Yin worship. Motherhood and Kuan Yin, the next topic. One of the questions regarding Kuan Yin is that which aspect of femininity it represents. Obviously, motherhood and child rearing, as we discussed, are the most significant domain of female Kuan Yin. The repeated emphasis on the motherhood is significant here, as Buddhism largely denied women's sexuality, and the only way of expression was to shift the emphasis of sexuality of women to motherhood. The underlying assumption was that women had to be mother to be saved through her son, who would become a monk. The idea of a nurturing and caring mother who sacrificed everything for her children is often emphasized more for women in medieval Japan. I'm sure same for in China. The more ancient idea of female sexuality in Japan is totally repressed by such a medieval Confucius idea of three obedience and the Buddhist idea of 5 kingdoms. Women have to obey her father, husband, and her own son when he matures. These heavy gender obstacles for women to achieve salvation become especially strong from the 15th century Japan. The power and image of Kannin, however, transcended such an argument of gender justification in Buddhism, as the weak gender to be saved was miraculously transformed into the compassionate and strong goddess, Kuan Yin, who has power to save all sentient beings. How is such power of Kuan Yin manifested in the history of Buddhism in Japan? I believe the most prominent example of Kuan Yin power was revealed in Shinran's dream. In his dream, the male Kuan Yin made a vow to Shinran that he would become a beautiful woman to have a sexual intercourse with him and take care of his wife until his death. In other words, Kuan Yin appeared as a beautiful woman and has sexual contact with Shinran. The same Kuan Yin, however, appears in his dream as a motherly bodhisattva who forgives his carnal sin. Shinran, as a young novice, having a sexual encounter with a woman, not to mention Kuan Yin, was a big offense even in a dream, and totally shaken his confidence to complete his 100-day austerity. He came out from his isolation in the mountain and consulted with Honen, the prominent Pure Land master at that time. Honen's guidance on him was totally affirmative, and Shinran, having struggled with the issue of sexuality in Buddhism, actually married 4 years later. He considered his wife, Eshinni, as a Kuan Yin, and Eshinni also believed him as an avatar of Kuan Yin through her dream annunciation. Shinran became the founder of the Buddhist school, Jodo Shinshu, which later became the largest in number, and all the monks of the school are married, and had families from the 12th century onwards to the present day. Japanese monks of other schools were forced to get married by the Meiji government in the late 19th century due to the religious policy in favor of Shintoism. For Shinran's case, though, it was his conscious choice after questioning the meaning of celibacy and discussing the nature of a Buddhist precept with his master, Honen. Then I moved to the issue of the sexuality and Kuan Yin. There were enough corrupt monks, unfortunately, who hid their frequent sexual contact with women at that time of Shinran in around 12th century. Homosexual affairs are not unknown, and there were child student monks who satisfy the older monks' need in exchange with the Buddhist teachings and favor. There's evidence for this unfortunate event. Many of the child interns become well-known, powerful patriarchs, though, when they grew up, and nobody worried about damaging of a child sexuality at that time. Unlike disputed cases of the Catholic priest, pedophilia, I come from Boston, United States, where this is our epicenter of this Catholic monks' sexual abuse on children. So that's a big issue. So the priest, pedophilia in the United States and other parts of the world, the medieval Japanese did not raise eyebrows to such monkish affairs. They were considered to be bad since they broke the Buddhist precept, which were not really created by the Japanese. After all, it's is Buddhism. In terms of sex culture, the Japanese had originally very permissive attitude, and many of these shameful monk stories are told and read with underlying sympathy by the people who regarded the affairs of passion go beyond reason, and the monks are not exception. For the case of Shinran, the sexuality of Kuan-Yin in his dream is not regarded as a just reflection of his own sexual desire. His teacher, Honen, convinced Shinran that religious truth goes beyond keeping or breaking the precept. For Shinran and Honen, it is sinners and criminals who are to be saved by the power of Nembutsu chanting. Shinran, having committed a sin, is to identify himself as a common mortal with suffering. In this seemingly simple logic of Honen and Shinran's teaching, I would expect that women should have been on top of their list of salvation, since women are considered to be most sinful and sinful of all in medieval Japan. Somehow this kind of gender aspect of Shinran's teaching is not explicitly stressed in the history of Shin Buddhism, since 200 years after Shinran, Rennyo, another prominent monk, he undermined women's salvation. Nevertheless, Shinran's emphasis seems to go beyond the gender issues at the essence of the Kamakura Buddhism, whether it is of Shinran or Nichiren, is a process of transformation from the monastic to popular Buddhism, which is open to all levels of society. For Shinran, the Kuan-Yin's dream played a major role in connect such a gap between monks and lay believers. In terms of the feminist perspective, though, Kuan-Yin in his dream does not provide a totally satisfactory view on sexuality. This Kuan-Yin transformed to a beautiful woman and satisfied his sexual needs and even promised Shinran to give him a divine protection for all his life. This kind of sexuality is totally based on Shinran or male-centered view on the issue. There's also similar myths of Kuan-Yin in China related with the prostitute of Yanzhou who lived in the late 8th century. According to myth, she had sex with any man who asked for it. She later died at the age of 24 and identified as Kuan-Yin. Sounds wonderful, but this is all permissive sexual Kuan-Yin seem to reflect male desire and not women's. At least for Shinran's case, some sexualities of Kuan-Yin provide a new soteriological means to form a new school of Buddhism in medieval Japan. In conclusion, prejudice and discrimination against femininity and the female body are the reason for the exclusion of women from salvation in medieval Japanese Buddhism. Nevertheless, if we follow the logic of the advocates of Kamakura Buddhism, Shinran and Nichiren alike, women, more than men, need to be saved and liberated because of such alleged impediments and sufferings. Kuan-Yin provided an ally to include women in many ways into the path of enlightenment with its devotional emphasis. The study of the gender transformation of Kuan-Yin is not concerned with only physical body transformation or sexual behavior, but addresses the core issues of salvation of women in medieval and modern Japanese Buddhism. Thank you.
Okay, our last presentation is by Dr. Hema Gunatilake, and she is from Sri Lanka, and she got a PhD from University of London in Buddhist studies, and she is now the director of Heini Bear Foundation in Cambodia. Also, she is the vice president of Sakyadhita organization.
Thank you, Amitabh.
In my paper, I would discuss the institutions of marriage and divorce and how the wives, the widows, and the divorcees are treated in our societies, Theravada societies. I would like to discuss in two sections. One, I would deal with how the Buddha redefined the position of wives, role of wife, and the widow and the divorcees, what he said, what the Buddha said. And later I will see how down the ages, how this Buddhist ethos influenced the position of women in terms of being a wife, a widow, and a divorcee. And something very important is in terms of women is in any society, sexuality and gender roles are socially and culturally constructed and assigned on the basis of access to power and authority. This is very important because the Buddha often emphasizes this word authority of the woman in many places. And so by the time the Buddha emerged in the 6th century before Christ in India, the situation of the woman as a wife was really looked down upon and had declined. It had a higher status earlier, but it had declined by the 6th century BC, and the woman was treated like just the mere property of a man. That is, when it was a child, the property of the father, and when young, the property of the husband, and in old age, the property that belonged to the sons or the sons. So the Buddha redefined the role of woman and enhanced her status as an equal human being, equal in a household, is equal to the husband. Husband and wife were equal, at least theoretically, what he in his expositions. And so the woman could exercise a great deal of power and authority. He often used also, as I said, the word authority. And here in this case, I would first like to discuss one sutra, that is the Sigalovada Sutra in the Theravada, which is the moral code for the lay people, lay men and women. And it has introduced for the first time, I suppose anywhere in the world, in the 6th century BC, the reciprocal kind of relationships between human beings. Between husband and wife, it should be a two-way relationship. Each one has duties and rights towards the other. For example, the husband would have, just like the wife, would be faithful, would love her. There are 5 sections for each, for the husband as well as the wife. But the husband's duties and duties to the wife are rather stronger in terms of power. It says in one right, one duty, it says, pay your wife honor and respect to her. That means that the Buddha wanted to emphasize this aspect of paying honor and respect, which means that she had not been respected and given honor before that. And the next one that I would like to emphasize is that another duty of the husband, hand over authority to your wife. The fact that the Buddha emphasized shows that the wife did not have the authority so far. So this means that equal human beings, equal partners in a partnership in the household, the husband and wife. Then also Buddha spoke very beautifully of another husband and wife, the mother and the father of Nakula, that is as the role model of happy husband and wife. And there the Buddha says, the father of Nakula, or the mother of Nakula, is a real counselor, as a counselor to the husband. The wife should be a counselor to the husband, and wife should be a friend, teacher to the husband. There are the emphasis on as a counselor to the husband and a teacher to the husband. And in another place he says, Bariyava Paramasakha, that is the wife is the best friend of the husband. So it's totally another kind of dimension that has been given to the role of wife. When it comes to sexual relations, it's very important to understand that sex has been viewed in Buddhism as an expression of conjugal love and as a satisfying emotional experience for laymen and laywomen. Sexual pleasure is not sinful or shameful, as in Christianity, for a layperson. No rigid puritanism or total permissiveness is advocated in Buddhism. But for monks and nuns, as you know, total abstinence from sex has been advocated, and also for not only monks and nuns, but also for those who observe 10 precepts. Then, in terms of the precepts people should follow, the lay people should follow, the third precept is the precept that emphasizes the sexual relations, the misuse of sexual relations. That is the third, Kame Sumichachara, Veramani Sikha. That is after the, I refrain from killing, the first precept. I refrain from stealing, which are the two precepts which cover the whole of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That is, right to life and right to property are the main areas of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Immediately after those two precepts is this third, that is to abstain from sexual misconduct, which is very important in the case of a woman, because it is usually the men who tend to resort to sexual misconduct. And I suppose this, if one follows this is perhaps the only remedy for the prevention of HIV/AIDS today, still, because so far no medicine has been discovered. So this has been very much emphasized by the Buddha, sexual abstinence from sexual misconduct. And also the Buddha discussed the improper partner, that is, sexual misconduct means engaging in sex with an improper partner. See, these are the three categories the Buddha had defined that a man should avoid having sex with. A woman protected by mother, by parents, brother, sister, and relatives, and those who have a husband, and those who are engaged to be married. And the second category is the women who have been brought or hired for payment, like the slaves or the workers or the servants. And then also in Buddhism, chastity was advocated before marriage and after marriage. In fact, the first ashram of the Brahmacharya celibacy in the Hindu system was accepted by the Buddha. That is the first as a studentship of Brahmanic religious tradition, and utilized this as the foundation for unmarried chastity. So once married, both husband and wife have to be chaste. Chastity should be followed both husband and wife. No chastity belt only for women. So one can have sexual relations only within marriage, once married between husband and wife. So monogamy was specifically advocated by the Buddha. Of course, polygamy was there, which was practiced by the kings and the nobles. And then also in the Mahamangala Sutta, very famous sutta, the Buddha says very vocally, very strongly that to support one's wife and cherish one's wife and children is the best blessing one could have. so no double standards in sex, both in chastity and faithfulness. And then coming down to widows, widows were not despised. Once the husband dies, unlike in Hinduism, where widows were socially marginalized, they were secluded from social life and they had their own life. They did not participate in celebrations, family festivals, etc. And some of them even had to jump into the husband's funeral pyre during a certain period of time. In Buddhism, it's not a big deal. Husband's death is not a big deal. It's a thing that can happen to anybody, husband or anyone else, because death is inevitable in Buddhism. And it was a normal thing to happen, of course. So whether the wife dies or the husband dies is the same thing. It is the same with divorcees. Divorcees were not despised and looked down upon, like in Hindu society. And they were just treated, usually in Hindu society, they were treated as ill-omened. They are not taken for celebrations, auspicious occasions, etc., excluded from social and domestic festivals and other ceremonies. For example, during the Buddha's time, Isidasi, there was a person who became a Theri, who reached an arhatship later. She divorced her husband one after the other. And so remarried several times. And she later became a arhat. And also unmarried women were not despised. Unmarried women. They were just they were another category of people, a social category where women, they opted out to remain unmarried. Of course, then the whole system opened up with the Buddha, the women becoming nuns, entering the nuns' order. Many were unmarried young women. Of course, many were also married women with children, but the attraction was such that many unmarried women were attracted because of the Dhamma and became nuns and later attained arhatship. So in my second section, that what I would like to show is that these ethos, these are formal, theoretical kind of ethos, Buddhist ethos, Buddhist redefinitions of marriage and divorce and the role of woman as wife and divorcee. This influence of Buddhism, it went down through the ages up to the present times. I just would like to quote some of the foreigners, and especially I'm talking only about the Theravada lands. Theravada countries such as Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, and Cambodia. And many have shown that in their research that also well documented that observers especially the Westerners who worked in these countries, that these liberal attitudes still prevailed in the 19th century, 20th century, up to late 20th century. And first I would like to quote in the 18th century, a British prisoner, a British man who was taken prisoner in Sri Lanka, who lived 19 years. He says about marriage and divorce in Sri Lanka, if they disagree and dislike one another, they part without disgrace. At divorce, the wife got back all the wealth her husband received from her parents and half of all the property acquired by the couple after marriage. The legal thing remains so even up to now. In Burma too, before the advent of the Buddha, a woman could get a divorce. Before the advent of the British, before the British colonial period, a woman could get a divorce if the husband ill-treated her, if he could not maintain her. A man in case of sterility and infidelity. Another easy method in Burma was that a woman could become a nun and enter a nunnery, and then the marriage dissolves automatically. Mate of man, and in fact bears a prominent share in the transaction of the more ordinary affairs of life. So this shows that up to the 19th, 20th century, up to colonization, very much the Buddhist ethos remained intact. The religious traditions have tended to lose their original meaning and strength, especially because of the urbanization and modernization. These modernization and urbanization have brought in new forms of exploitation of women in terms of social exploitation, and even in terms of marriage, the legal requirements in terms of marriage are very relaxed, in the sense that it is not marriage in any of these countries is not a legal, is not a sacrosanct thing. It's nothing to do. Marriage is totally a secular affair. Only some couples can get blessings for the marriage, but a totally secular affair. That shows that the man and woman have a kind of a equal partnership in dealing with marriage, also in divorce. Even up to now, they are to be observed and they are to be emulated, but in practice, especially but divorcee has no problem. The divorcee or the spinster, they are treated as equal, but the Hindu tendencies, more than anything else, as Hindu elements have some influence that have weakened the Buddhist ethos. Apart from that, it has remained quite fairly well. Thank you, Amitabh.
Thank you very much. The society is quite different from the society that I came from. Like, in East Asia, it depends on the
Yeah. 社会法师，就是关于这个八敬法啊，我们知道我用中文。
And I asked our Professor Eva Makilaka.
这是关于您对于这个八敬法的这个过程啊。那因为呢，是我今年刚刚回来，我才知道有这样的事情。那我在这边呢，只是想请教大卫法师是说。 这样子的做法啊，在您心里啊
是没有。其实我论文里面有，但是没时间谈出来。因为很多人问我说，你们为什么不许你们僧团的会议解决？但你知道，僧团会议到目前来讲，中国佛教会的权力还是掌握在大部分是男性的手里。好，那么它一定是代表制的，不会是全国的比丘比丘尼大集会。如果比丘大集会，我们还有希望。如果只有比丘们和少部分的比丘尼们，我觉得希望很渺茫。再来一点，我为什么说废除八敬法，也一定要点出说是八敬法非佛说？因为我觉得那是对比丘尼们心理上的戒严，也就是说他心理上如果已经有一个紧箍的话，谁去帮他都没有用的。一定要先让他把八敬法是佛说这个答案推翻掉以后，后面他自己还去转化自己。我不认为我是一个救世主。 我觉得每一个人都有他自己的能力，他只要一个关键能够打破的时候，接下来他们会走得很好。所以衡量了很多，我觉得没有别的办法可以做，这个办法是最好的办法，把这个引爆到社会上去，让大家都注目佛教界发生什么事。
Okay, probably because because since most of the authority and power will control under the monks. So she thought this is the best way to do it, to put it outside, and put it in public, not to be taken care of within our Sangha group. Thank you.
Next question.
Any question?
Raise your hand. I cannot see. No question.
One question here, please. Not actually a question. This is addressing to our fiery bhikkhuni. It is on Guru Dharma. I think it's important for academics to go back to the root. Guru Dharma, if you study, Guru means heavy, difficult. Dharma does not mean teaching of the Buddha. Dharma goes back to the Hindu usage of the word. It means duty. So it is heavy duty. So you see that there is a strong Brahmanistic influence on this Guru Dharma. And then the very first one to say that a bhikkhuni or ordained 100 years have to bow to the monk ordained but one day. But you must also read the exception. Later on, there were some naughty monks trying to show off their thighs, lift up their legs to show to the bhikkhunis. This was reported to the Buddha, and the Buddha said to the bhikkhunis not to pay respect to them. So we have our choice here. I think it's very important that we go back to the source and we understand the meaning. I don't think we should take Garudharma to our death. Thank you.
About the Garudharma, I wish to place before this. You can see from the texts and commentaries that the Garudharma are a later interpolation. You have to read it in the book, please, because I can't say it in just a couple of sentences. Okay, thank you. The book is not published. I am in the process of it being published.
She wants to answer the question.
Sorry 因为可能翻译的不是很完整但有大约知道两位姐妹的意思，就是对于这个八敬法他们认为说这里面还牵涉到这个很深的学理研究，还有很多的典籍。我可以这么说完。所以在这篇今天的场合，我比较是跟大家谈到一个行动，还有行动背后的心理因素，还有决策的考量。我想呢，我们要讲一个法，它不是佛说的，那个是非常非常震撼的一件事情。我背后如果没有想到很多的学理，不敢轻易的这么说。所以我觉得我自己很有那个信心，觉得在佛陀时代，他不是在宇宙还没出家就定好8条，1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8，叫他们一定要做的，那是不可能的事情。顶多只是说佛陀呢，顾虑到这些女孩子们出家什么都不懂，所以要比丘当他们的老师。那么比丘当他们老师，所以半个月去教他们。还有呢，比丘尼刚开始成立僧团，没办法把关，所以呢，如果有人要受戒的话呢，除了10个人成立一个10人小组来审核资格以外，也请比丘僧团也成立一个10人小组来审核一下他。但是这个就是恶不生受戒，害得今天南传跟藏传的比丘尼传统断掉了。如果这恶不生受戒，今天印证它是残害女性的，也就是说时空背景不合，我们今天为什么一定要保留它？那个是在那个时空背景下需要的东西。还有比如说比丘尼不得说比丘过，可是我们在那个维那亚里面看到大爱道还就去讲比丘过，佛陀不但没有骂大爱道，反而还把那些比丘叫过来骂他们一顿啊！难道说这不就是大爱道在说比丘过吗？还有比丘尼不能骂比丘，难道比丘就可以骂比丘尼吗？各位姐妹们，今天很多比丘就告诉比丘尼，我可以骂你，你是比丘，你就比丘尼。但是请问，我们比丘尼的戒经里面不是讲比丘跟比丘尼骂人都要犯波伊提吗？而八敬法里面的波伊提其实就是戒经里面的波伊提，它有什么差别？一定要女众不能骂比丘，没有道理嘛？是不是？我讲这些东西其实有很多我可以举证的东西，但是不是今天的15分钟可以讲的。所以请您必须了解，我也有其他的 paper， 我还有其他的书，谈的非常非常的多。谢谢。
补充一下刚才那个，大概那位泰国比丘尼讲的，他是说那个你刚刚说那个八敬法其实是有婆罗门背景。他刚刚讲的是他为了要中文的，
那个耳机给听英文的人好吗？
就是他等于是在帮你，他在帮你找了一个有力的证据，是说八敬法那个法不是佛法的法，而是有婆罗门背景的那个法，等于是
English listener switch the channel to B。
再给你一个举证的那个力量，谢谢。
Question is for Professor Hema Gunatilaka. She spoke about the divorcee and the widow. The Buddha gave even
the
approximately.
ears set, earphone to the Chinese listeners. 中文的听者。 我们把这个调频转到 A。
I want to remind her that the Buddha gave even the permission for a prostitute like Amrapali to gain arahanthood, not only the divorcee and the widow.
This is a question to Xiaoping Xi. I heard you say that bhikkhus receive more respect. And I heard you also said that some bhikkhu take it granted that the bhikkhuni kneels down before them. And it is a shame that bhikkhuni should kneel down in the public. Well, are you talking about the quality of the human mentality or the gender issue? I have a message that saying that bhikkhunis are equally qualified, like bhikkhu. Then connecting with the conference which we had in the morning, talking about lay movement. We can say expand what you said to the lay women, saying that do you think, in conclusion, my question is, do you think bhikkhuni are superior than lay women folks? Or none? I'm talking about lay female. And we could also say that it's a shame for the lay women that the pastor kneel down to bhikkhuni in the public. I'm saying that. I'm just expanding what you said. And also, bhikkhuni take it granted that lay followers should bow and kneel down. Actually, at the cafeteria, I was waiting on the line, and some bhikkhuni cut in. And in any human society, when somebody cut in, we simply say, I'm sorry, or something, that's a decent human behavior. But there is no such a word.
So can I just summarize your questions? You are questioning about.
My question
it's not like
is,
it's not probably gender issue. It's just much more like a hierarchical issue, like lay and also bhikkhuni didn't respect the lay people either. I think this is a much more it is involved with a bigger issue. And the organizer gave me a note saying that we are behind our schedule. So can you just move on? Leave that question unanswered? No? No?
It's a good question.
谢谢，非常谢谢你这个问题，这个问题问得非常的好。我一直觉得 ，sorry，
My button is gone.
我一直觉得，如果从佛法的体会来看，所有人类的阶级意识都带着一点的罪恶的。也就是说，当比丘认为比比丘尼高，或者比丘尼认为他比在家居士高一等，我觉得这个对于他的修道心性都是有障碍的。如果一个比丘尼、一个比丘能够体会平等的缘起法性，那么我相信他对于在家居士，对于残障者，对于不同人种的人都应该平等看待。所以我不觉得任何一个人理所当然的应该接受另外一个人的跪拜。所以在我们目前的心情上，如果有人跪拜，我们就立刻说请他拜佛，我们是不接受的。谢谢。
用中文讲，我是想，我是一个韩国比丘尼，因为可能是跟韩国跟台湾也是同业吧。从去年这2年开始，韩国也是正在发生这个八金法的问题。那在这场里面，就是说年轻的那个女师那个无度的那个成长。 界的那个阿泽里女士，我刚好那个传戒士是我师父，我听了心里就是很无奈。但是这个问题，听说您说去年您引爆了这个问题，不晓得引爆了之后呢，现在有得到这种结果是有什么效果呢？
这也是一个非常重要的问题，本来我也是要在论文里面提的。我想，如果引爆没有效果，那就等于白引爆了。那我这起码可以具体的讲几样。第一个呢，很多年轻比丘，以前长老比丘尼跪拜他就理所当然给他拜，但是现在有些年轻比丘一看到比丘尼拜就跟着他下来拜，回礼。我们只要求一个，你回礼好吗？是不是？不然的话。其实我不骄傲，我可以对任何一个人礼拜，可是我现在偏偏不跟比丘礼拜，因为我怕我一礼拜你就以为我在行八敬法，你忘了人与人之间互相谦卑的对待，对你没有长进。所以现在这是第一个进步。第二个，中国佛教会往年从来没有比丘尼担任常务理事，但是今年比丘尼呢已经有这种反抗意识，他们跟比丘谈条件说，你要给我2个席次，常务理事你必须给我2个。当时有比丘说，哎，我们比丘还不完对了，还轮得到你们比丘尼吗？结果这些比丘尼开始运用实力说，如果你不给我们2席常务理事的话，我们拒绝投你们所安排的那些席次。结果他们就真的安排了2席，而且本来中国佛教会他们准备开除我的升级，但是我就放话告诉他们说，如果你敢开除我的升级，那么我告诉你，台湾社会会问你们，佛教发生那么多的一些不名誉的事情，你们都不处理，凭什么一个比丘尼没有犯不名誉的事情，你要把他开除升级？后来一听，他们就静下来了。所以我的安全说起来很悲哀，是奠定在他们有丑闻的基础上。那么，结果今年的新任理事长上任的时候，他反而请我去致辞，代表比丘尼致辞。我说你会给人揍呢？他说没有关系。后来我就致辞的时候说，我说我迈上台上是一小步，可是我觉得对比丘尼是一大步。我希望在不久以后的将来，中国佛教会能出现比丘尼当理事长。还有就是上个月中华佛事协会也是一个全国的佛事团体的 community。那么开会的时候呢，他们选我当副主席。过去比丘不可能轮到比丘尼当副主席，2位副主席，其中1位是我。那么后来呢，在会议结束前，我提案，我说每一次任何场合，比丘都挤在比丘尼的前面，我想提案，请你们最起码佛事协会带头，如果有这种公开的场合，比丘一排，比丘尼一排，请你们不要都挤到比丘尼的前面，我看不惯。还有第一桌吃饭，永远都是你们这些比丘跟那些官员在座。如果你们认为你们比在家居士高一等，那你们怎么看到总统啦、官员、立委，你们就狗腿起来了呢？所以请你们，第一桌留2席给长老尼，这个叫做女性保障名额。后来这个会议就给他通过了。所以我必须说，权力它不是天上掉下来，你必须很强硬的、很坚决的，而且因为你理直气壮。还有一点，我不要权不要利，我就告诉他们，你们放心，我不跟你们抢中华佛事协会理事长的席位，我不会当理事长，但是我就要求这一个。那么，但是我告诉大家，真正障碍在比丘尼。比如说照相，那天照相，我明明要求了要有比丘尼的席次，可是呢，那些比丘挤在前面的时候，我赶快说，哎，你们起来让2个位置啊，后面有长老尼行动不便，让他们坐下来啊。他们比丘心的赶快站起来，可是长老尼怎么都不肯坐下去，那我怎么办呢？已经2席，如果不坐下去怎么办呢？我只好硬着头皮给他坐下去。好，那我讲这个意思就是说，我不愿意把自己放在一个权力的结构下，我讲话才能大声。可是当我争取到位置，那些比丘尼很谦虚，不肯坐下去的时候，那我不把那个位置占着怎么办呢？将来就没机会。所以我觉得这个运动它只是一个起步。我觉得真正的问题症结在于心理建设。比丘尼必须心理建设说，我谦虚是要摆在我心里，但是我为了宇宙的缘故，我为了不要害到这些比丘自高自大，我必须平等的跟他在一个平等地位上相处，这样对于比丘也健康，对于比丘尼也有帮助。谢谢。
Well, it looks like there have been quite a lot of questions raised by this afternoon's session, and we're actually now going to break into small discussion groups so that we can talk about them further. 看起来今天下午的这些讲座提出来了很多问题，现在我们就会分成小组，讨论的小组可以继续讨论。现在就是。
这样子，继续留在那样的位置。就是以前。 question. You are talking to, you are speaking to the monks. Yeah. What do you mean separate? That's what I'm asking. You are sleeping. You're separate. You are living separate, but you work together, right? Oh, I see. You're from a tour job. What is the ratio? Ratio between nuns and monks? 1:1. Okay. And then after finishing your job, what do you do? Everything? What kind of Anything else? They are discussing in traditions, in what traditions down so that compared to the nuns and the monks. So that's what this
volunteers and devotees who are very diverse. And they will help in whatever way they can. Whether it's in the office or sweeping the streets, whether it's on the kitchen, whatever it is, they are there to keep the record. Yet, when you see somebody, it is a very big difference to the appreciation of taking care of
Women are still a little behind, but not at all like in the past. And it's better to go slow and sure. And after all, we can see evidence. Change happens. So sad for my sisters in the southern country because they really do not have equal status. And here they are nuns in fact, but they are not accepted as such. Would you offer nuns in southern countries?
It is not so much equality as by the Buddha. We want to do that share of beauty, not so much equality. That's a good clarification.
很有趣。师傅回答说，最关键的不是男女平等问题，而是说我们愿意负这个责任，但是这社会不让我们做我们应该做的道德，应该做的责任。其实佛陀给的，其实能够达到大
大家互相比丘能够互相尊重，就很好，互相尊重。But of course, we really can have mutual aid. 他说，过去佛陀有一句话，他说的，在什么情况之下，佛教会没有，就是在比丘。
sorry about that. Thank you. We'll start in a minute. In order to assure the quality of tonight's concert, please turn off your cellular phone. Thank you. The evening concert of the 7thSakyadhitaConference start. 今天晚上有3位特别来宾特别来参加这次的晚会活动。第一位是我们华梵大学的大家长校长马俊校长。We're happy we have 3 special guests coming tonight. The first one is the president of华梵University, Dr. Song Ma. 再来是我们的修持园长以及静定法师。And the next two is the member of the board of trustees of华梵 University, Venerable修持 and Venerable 静定。节目开始，歌声是人类最原始的乐器，因此佛陀可以以一音弘万法。有鉴于此。莲华学佛园将以最悠扬动人的乐音为这场晚会揭开序幕，让我们一起来欣赏由李海云老师指挥、邱慧玲同学伴奏、莲华学佛园合唱团所为我们带来的歌曲。第一首《草木》。Music is the most common language all over the world. The chorus of the Lotus Buddhist ashram, they use their lovely music to open up tonight's concert. They will bring us
旭日照出林。谢谢李海云老师与邱慧玲同学。刚刚莲华学佛研所演唱的2首歌曲《草木》以及《旭日照出林》，是由我们小云法师所作的词。
Okay, thank the teacher Li Haiyun and the students pianist Miss Chu Huiling. The first 2 songs, The Graces and the Trees, and the second song, The First Sunlight in the Forest. Those 2 songs are composed by the founder of the Huafan University, the Venerable Hu Yun. And the next, the chorus of the Lotus Buddhist Chant, they will sing us a poem, the Ox Herding Verses.
来，由莲华学佛园为我们带来一首吟诗，诗名《牧牛图颂》。
谁是瀑布？
singer is also taught by the Venerable Hugh Wynn, the founder of the university. Thanks, the chorus of the Lotus Chant bring us those lovely music. Thank you.
I'd like to make a short explanation. Actually, you have heard two songs and one of the verses. And the first two songs were written by Master Venerable Hugh Wynn. And the rhythm was composed by a very great musician in Taiwan. He is also over 90 years of age. And the third is 10 verses of herding the cow. These are actually Chen poems, or the Japanese say Zen, the Chinese say Chen poems. Herding the cows. The cow symbolizes our mind. It's very wild, so we have to tame it to herd the cow. Means to tame the mind, and this boy who tame the cow is the wisdom itself. So we have to use our wisdom to tame the cow. And these are 10 steps how to tame the mind, how to cultivate our mind, to turn it from a wild cow into a very, very bright mind. And so you can see the last verse, both are gone. The mind and the boy, the Dharma and the ego vanish, both of them. And you can hear that the Lotus students read the poem in a way is very special, because Venerable Hugh Wynn taught them how to read those verses in her own way, little bit Cantonese inside the poem. So it's not Mandarin, and it's definitely not Taiwan language, Taiwan dialect. It's a very special way of reading, reciting the poem.
接下来由邱慧玲同学伴奏，陈瑞华老师独唱两首民歌。第一首内蒙民歌，曲名《牧歌》。
The next program is the vocal solo presented by our teacher from the Electronic Engineering Department, Professor Chen Ruihua, and the piano is by our students, Ms. Chu Huiling. The first song is Mongolia folk songs, the Song of Shepherd.
second song is the Napoleon folk song, Mama. Dr. Chen Ruihua and Ms. Xu Huilin bring us those two lovely songs.
人们常说文乐起舞，人类透过歌声来表达自己的感情，更进一步期望以身体舞动灵魂。传说菩萨讲经时，一定有飞天迎风而来，舞姿曼妙，霓裳轻舞。我们无法亲自听闻菩萨传法，却有幸让华梵大学舞蹈研究社为我们重现从古印度东传到中国来自天界的曼妙舞蹈飞天。
The next program is presented by the Dance Club Ascension. They use the dancing to show the Buddhist teaching and Buddhist spirit. The advisor of the dancing club is Miss Zhang Ming, and they will bring us the Tibetan music Dunhuang dance.
阴与阳，天与地，日与月，中国人将无法诠释与解说的宇宙现象统称为太极。除了以太极来解释自然界的运行，中国人更试图用肢体来展现调和体内串流的气。陈氏太极拳正是身体诠释天地宇宙的最佳呈现，而太极剑更将人体与天地万物融合为一。
The next program is presented by Taiji Chen Club. Taiji is a kind of Chinese kung fu. It combines yin, yang, hard and soft to represent the universal harmony. Now let's see the Taiji Chen Club bring us the first program, Taiji Chen. program that was presented is Tai Chi Sword.
接下来是来自于西藏以及韩国的特别来宾的表演，我们请李美华老师为我们做简介。
The next program is presented by.
我们都以为阿里郎是台湾的哦，原来是韩国的。现在有原来韩国正宗的发音呢，待会要帮我们表演啊。那今天是不一样，比较轻松的，然后他呢也会用击鼓的方式配合呢那个西藏的舞蹈，我们觉得感觉一下西藏的气氛啊。那首先呢，那个 Kesang Tatum 呢，他已经在之前在后台 meditate 很久了，我们现在呢，我们请欢迎他的出场 ，Let's welcome him.